we have only completed a beginning. We leave you much that is undone. There are great ideas undiscovered, breakthroughs available to those who can remove one of truth's protective layers.
Breakthroughs available to those who can remove one of truth's protective layers. What is he talking about? In 1994, Neil Armstrong's cryptic words at the White House presser left the world intrigued, hinting at secrets of his lunar journey. Whispers persist of a 2-minute silence during Apollo 11, where he allegedly murmured mysterious phrases about watchers on the moon. Now we're going to get into the enigmatic trail to the Amazon, where he began searching for an ancient library said to hold cosmic truths. Are the two related?
When Neil Armstrong came back from the moon, almost immediately, stories began to circulate.
Supposedly, while on the moon, Neil Armstrong switches his communication channel to the medical officer and he says something.
Hello, we're copying.
He says they're on the edge of the crater and they're watching us.
The tale of Neil Armstrong switching to a medical channel during Apollo 11 to report aliens watching from a lunar crater stems from a 1970s hoax by sci-fi writer Otto Binder, who fabricated claims of 2-minute radio silence hiding UFO sightings. NASA's official transcripts and live monitoring by amateur radio operators confirm no such gap or secret transmission occurred. Just a routine post-landing checks. Debunked as fiction, the story lacks evidence. Yet, Buzz Aldrin later commented about unexplained light following their spacecraft fuel lingering suspicions that something extraterrestrial may have observed them. And indeed, he leaves a lot to question about those UFOs. Despite persistent rumors, Apollo 11 offers no concrete evidence of extraterrestrial encounters, with NASA and Buzz Aldrin debunking claims like the alleged 2-minute silence as routine communication gaps. However, other astronauts have fueled speculation with their beliefs. Edgar Mitchell, who grew up near Roswell, New Mexico, believed extraterrestrials monitored military sites like White Sands, even claiming they disabled nuclear missiles to prevent war. His ex-wife, Anita Mitchell, in a 2025 Daily Mail interview, echoed his beliefs, noting that several astronauts, including James McDivitt and Gordon Cooper, shared stories of unexplained sightings during their career. And while Apollo astronauts like Edgar Mitchell hinted at extraterrestrial watchers, their cryptic accounts pale in comparison to the cosmic revelations of Dr. Stephen Greer, who in a 2014 interview unveiled jaw-dropping claims about the moon landings and extraterrestrial craft. Mitchell's belief in ETs monitoring White Sands sets the stage for Greer's bold assertions that the moon itself hosts ancient alien bases, with structures visible in the classified lunar photographs. Apollo astronauts like Edgar Mitchell hinted at alien lunar presence, a notion echoed in Neil Armstrong's cryptic 1994 White House message about, quote, breakthroughs available to those who can remove one of truth's protective layers, end quote. Today's declassified documents, like the CIA's 2017 Stargate program, release and reveal past government lies, suggesting Otto Binder's 1970 Apollo 11 UFO tale might actually be self-disclosure. His sci-fi background offering plausible deniability. Armstrong's words connect to his 1976 Amazon trip, seeking the Golden Library, linking ancient history to aliens. So how does Neil Armstrong go from being the first man on the moon to finding himself in an Amazon cave that's miles long, said to house ancient tablets that describe how the pyramids were even built? I have questions.
August 1976. Astronaut Neil Armstrong is embarking on a perilous mission. Not to the moon, but to the jungle. He is searching for a secret cave system in Ecuador, known as Cueva de los Tallos.
Over 100 people are gathered for this. We're talking Ecuadorian military, British scientists from around the world, university institutions.
Ecuadorian military, British scientists, and university institutions from around the world? Does this even remotely sound like it's just a nothing burger? Why have so much intellectual property and military prowess behind this Amazon trip by this one man who never really utters much of anything, but he is the link between the moon and the Amazon? What is going on? Let's remote view it. But first, before we get into our remote view, let's elevate your journey, personal and cosmic. Meet your must-have companion, the Energy Healing Map at mdhmap.com. Perfect for beginners and pros. It's your guide to clearing trapped emotional energies like ancestral or past life baggage, aligning your vibration with your goals. Imagine releasing old vibes to unlock new skills like remote viewing. With a clear energy field, you'll tap into the unseen, just like those spaceships on the lunar horizon. mdhmap.com helps you heal, grow, and explore your universe. Grab your energy healing map today, clear the past energies, and align your vibe, and see what's out there. Visit mdhmap.com now. Having set the stage with remote view into the mysterious cave in Ecuadorian jungle, I now turn to what Neil Armstrong sought there in 1976. A legendary golden library shimmering with metal books inscribed in an unknown language, said to hold ancient secrets possibly linking humanity to extraterrestrial origins.
It's a mind-boggling story, but some find corroboration in Armstrong's behavior on his return to Earth.
Something happened to him up there. He was changed. He was touched.
Neil Armstrong returned from the moon and showed what appears to me to be signs of post-traumatic stress. I think that he encountered much closer encounters than simply watching lights out of his cockpit.
It surprised me. This actually took me to places I was not expecting to go. All right, so let's get into what I found. One of the first questions I had was, the strange lights observed, were they light reflections or alien craft? I got they were alien craft. But again, because the population at the time was not ready for disclosure, we had to keep that all on the download. So even though they're making the comments, they actually had to backpedal themselves and say, oh no, I realized later that it was just a reflection on the craft or on the window and not an alien craft. But now, as disclosure comes out, we now know that they were witnessing something outside of their little lunar windows, if you will. So interesting. It was kind of funny. Everybody knows that Neil Armstrong was this quiet man. But I feel he had a sense of humor because one of the things he goes, "You really think that we're that stupid we couldn't tell the difference between a reflection on the glass and something out moving beyond us?" So, like, yeah, you got a point there. The next question, did Armstrong witness alien activity on the moon? I got yes, he did. He did indeed witness activity on the moon. I think, wow, did that make you feel fearful? And he said, no, it actually, he was quite calm about it. And he was more curious than he was fearful. One, he was a scientist, an engineer, a scientist. He had a curious, he has a curious mind because death does not stop the curiosity. But he has access to more information, just like Dolores Cannon said. All right. So yes, they observed alien craft at the rim, at the crater, at the rim of the crater. He did. It feels like yes, that is confirmed that he did feel that way. Again, they are not going to communicate that on any channel that another country can hack at that time, and they're not going to put it on the medical channel because they knew that ham operators could hear them on the medical channel. And so there was, before they left, they actually had, it feels like a special frequency to say if they encountered aliens. So they were kind of laughing at that when they left. But they weren't like closed-minded either. So, but they were kind of chuckling. I feel like he says, "Yeah, we were chuckling about that." But when they were witnessing these craft outside the window, they're like, "Yeah, they're there." And I feel like part of him didn't feel frightened because they were of such advanced technology that if they wanted them gone, they could have easily done it. And yet, not they stayed away. They stayed at their far distance, and they observed from a distance. So at no time did he ever feel threatened, or the crew. And so the next question was, well, people are saying that these craft let you know not to come back to the moon. And this is why you ended up with what we, and it's how we say it, but what we would term as PTSD. He said, they're not as scary as the US government. I thought, well, okay then. All right. So as I'm kind of delving into this, so yes, they observed the aliens. They were observing. I don't feel that there was so much of a communication that he truly understood as communication. There does feel, now that he's on that side, there was telepathic communication that everything is okay. We are just watching. But there was no communication from his point of view that told him to go look for a cave with ancient technology in metal books that's written in an ancient alien language. He didn't get that. That is not what he got. But it is cool what he did get. So stay with me because this is so interesting. All right, the next thing I asked him, I said, so if these alien craft were sitting off at a distance, how long did you observe them at a distance? And I feel like it was between 2 to 3 hours, but after that they disappeared. And I don't feel that they saw any alien activity after that. But they did broadcast that they were being observed about 2 minutes, but on their secret frequency that nobody knew about. So it'll be interesting to find out if that comes out in disclosure. So fingers crossed that this will all be verified here within the next 4 to 5 years. So if we're to listen to Stephen Greer, disclosure's coming. So hopefully that actually does come out. We'll see, because I don't know. That's what I got. Don't shoot the messenger. Remember, you can be a remote viewer too. There's nobody out there that possesses any more powers than you do. You just got to get the gunk cleared out of the way, which is why I share my map with you, mdhmap.com. You can do it yourself, or you can hire me. All right, now I'm getting a squirrel moment. I'm getting sidetracked. So let me stay on point. The next question I had for him, did you see structures on the back side of the moon? And I got, no, he did not see structures on the back side of the moon. But he is telling me from his now current perspective, there are structures on the back side of the moon, but at that time he didn't see it. Now it's interesting. I don't know why that is. When I tune into him, he's giving me this, like the native peoples of the Americas, when the ships first arrived and they were out off the coast. Some of them never saw the ship because their mind could not wrap around that there was a ship out there. It's an interesting phenomenon. I encourage you to research that. But he does not remember seeing, while he was in his life as Neil Armstrong, as any structures on the backside of the moon. But when I ask him, are they there? They're absolutely there. And he's telling me the moon bases are too. And they are currently being occupied by humans. And I feel like there's some off-worlders too. So that's interesting. We'll see, right? We'll all see. I could be wrong. I'm not wrong very often, but I could be. And this might be one of them. It does feel that those structures on the backside of the moon are known by governments around the world. So they're known. Maybe not by us. That's why we do the remote viewing, right? Let's see. The communication, yeah, stay calm. And again, I asked him again, because I was like, are you sure the aliens didn't tell you to go look for a hidden cave in the Amazon? He assured me, no, that was not the case at all. But his relative, and I think it was a distant cousin, Stan Hall, wanted Armstrong to go. He felt that there was this cave in the Amazon, and you'll have to watch the full video. I've got the videos that I've shared in this video in the description box below, so you can watch the whole thing. But it feels to me that Stan Hall, because he had a relative connection, that he wanted to bring Armstrong on this expedition, one, to gain funding from universities, to add credibility, because Neil Armstrong was the coolest dude on the planet because he was the first man to walk on the moon. And he says he is the first man to walk on the moon, even with human activity up there now. He's still the first dude to walk on the moon, is what he's giving me. All right, so this Stan Hall wanted him to go to raise the credibility. He wanted to go find that library that was kind of legendary, had like tablets or gold or metal tablets that had ancient inscription on them to tell us all about our history, how the pyramids were built, where we came from. All the stuff that we want to know is all housed in that library, maybe even Atlantis, all of it. But he knew that with Armstrong being his cool cousin, if he could get him enlisted to go to the Amazon, that would fund his expedition. And they did go, and they went in 10 miles into this cave. And if you think about how crazy it was to get there, they're taking like 100 people on this expedition at huge risk to their own lives. Because if there weren't an animal that could get you, there was a virus that potentially could, all kinds of stuff that could get you. So anyway, he went because of his cousin wanted him to go. And he was fascinated. He was like, yeah, that actually could be the case, because he knew that he had seen alien life. Now, he would never disclose that to anybody. Neil Armstrong, at his heart, was a patriot. And I also feel he was a very gentle soul. So when he is ordered not to speak of what he saw on the moon, and I feel like all of them actually were, that bothered him. And when I asked, do you feel like you had post-traumatic syndrome from this event? And I actually got yes, but not because of the aliens, but because of our own government insisting on keeping this stuff quiet. They were big proponents. Excuse me, I can't speak. Big proponents at that time. If this were to get out, one, that would cause chaos and break down societies and break down religions, and there'd be chaos and mayhem. The human population is not ready to acknowledge that there are species out there that are more advanced than we are. And so because of that, he had to stay quiet. Now, he was already an introvert, and it feels to some degree he was painfully shy. And it actually, if he got anywhere out of that, his engineering brain, it did feel very socially awkward for him. So, but when he was threatened, I mean, that threat came in strong. And here's the thing where I feel like we have two skewed lines with him, is that on one hand, it feels like he's showing me that these beings are peaceful, and us having contact with these beings, open contact with them, it would actually advance us in a positive way, not a negative way. And so by holding on to this information, he felt it did more harm than good. So he was at this battle. And so, but again, he knew not to speak. And again, he's a good patriot. So he's going to do what the government told him to do. Remember, he is not going to disclose something or get ahead of anything because he knows what can happen. And my guess is he also knew about what happened to Kennedy. He knew that. So, if we can take out the president, what else can we do? They made sure they were not talking. And this all leads back to Buzz. Buzz knows more than what he's saying, although I bet he does talk finally before he has his last breath. All right. So yeah, that was what caused the PTSD, that you're like, oh, he came back changed. Well, one, if he's coming back from the moon and the first guy to walk on the moon, that's going to change you. That's going to be pretty cool. But the part that they're talking that changed, that was so negative and so heavy for Neil, is our own government saying, don't you talk about it, when he knew that it was actually going to be more beneficiary than not. So with that said, I hope that you enjoyed this remote view. Remember, you can remote view too. Coming up in our next two remote videos, we're going to be looking at the DNA, who manipulated it and why. And after that, we're looking at the skull experiment. Now that's in the 1990s, a paranormal study in Norfolk that claimed to capture spirits and voices of the dead. Is it real or hoax? Subscribe to see our remote view of it. And did they phone the dead? Let's find out. Remember, ignite the superhuman in you.